everybody. Welcome to another edition of Small Business Interview Success Stories. I'm your host, Small Business Stacey. And today I have with me Kim Knight, who comes all the way from the land down under. Hi, I'm Small Business Stacey.
I'm Digital Dave.
Where marketing
meets technology.
And she has an extensive background in marketing and communications. For the past 13 years, she has helped organizations of all shapes and sizes, from the individual small business owner to nonprofit and for-profit organizations, even the Australian government. So welcome to the show, Kim.
Thanks very much, Stacey. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. Today, we're going to be talking about how to create a winning marketing plan that's perfect for your business. And I am so excited to have you on the show for two reasons. One is, out of all the people I've interviewed, you have the coolest accent.
Oh,
so you win that award.
See, I feel the same way about you.
Oh, really? Washington, D.C. accent. But two, you really get a marketing plan from everything that you've done in your past experience and now putting it together. You have a tool called Marketing Mate that makes it really easy for businesses of any size and shape to put together a marketing plan. So I'm really excited about that, because that's one of the biggest complaints I hear from small business owners is, I know I need a marketing plan, but how do I do it? So before we get started into the nuts and bolts, from the brief background I gave, is there anything else you want to add that I missed?
No, that's a fabulous introduction. And it just, I'll probably share a little bit more about my passion for marketing and for helping people who have great offerings to get the best for themselves. And just happy to get right into it.
Great. Well, before we do, I always like to ask my guests a few fun questions. You ready?
Okay, yep.
Okay. Cake or pie?
Cake.
Yum, I agree. Crossword puzzles or Sudoku?
Crosswords.
Okay. You're smart. And cautious or adventurous?
Adventurous, most definitely.
Love it. All right, then this is definitely going to be a great interview.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Let's
go. So when we say marketing plan, that seems to be, it means a lot of things to different people. It can mean doing this complicated SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. It could mean, here's the tactics of what I'm going to do. It could mean, it means so many things to different people. So let's start with the basics. What is a marketing plan?
Sure. And, from my experience working, as you said, with all sorts of different people, from individuals, small businesses, not-for-profits, large government organizations, what I've come to find is that simple is best. And not simple in terms of, the things that you choose, because that definitely always relates to your own offering and what's best for you. But just simple in terms of not needing to go into pages and pages and pages of information and background and where it becomes overwhelming and people often decide it's just too hard and they move on. I like to think of a marketing plan as something that helps you gain clarity and focus. It sets a pathway for you to follow. It asks you all the right questions so you can come up with all the right answers, so that you're communicating the right things to your audiences, and being strategic and tailored. And there's definitely no one size fits all. Everybody is unique, and so just having a quite a simple structure, but definitely one that is structured for you to follow. And as I said, answering all the right questions and putting them into the right spots and being strategic as you go. And you just can't lose if you do it that way.
Yeah, and I love what you said about keeping it simple, because it doesn't have to be this complex document that completely overwhelms you so you never do anything with it anyways.
Oh, that's right. I think that's that's just going to send you to be popping it into the pile of I'll do that later, or I'll get halfway through it and I won't finish it, and that's no use to anybody. So something that's interesting and fun and actually gets you thinking and excited about what you're doing, and then you finish up with this to-do list pretty much of actions that are going to get you on your way. That's far more inspiring, and I think it's going to help people in the long run.
Great. So if somebody's going to invest the time and effort in putting a marketing plan together, what's the end result? Is it going to keep them organized? Is it going to save them money? Like, what benefits have you seen from businesses that do put together a marketing plan?
Look, they're really endless, the benefits. For starters, obviously, it saves you money and it earns you more, because obviously you're making some really good decisions about what you're going to do and how you're going to spend your marketing money. And you're not just guessing, you're keeping it tight and tailored, and keeping an eye on it so that you can tweak and review as you go, and make changes if you see that something's not working. So there's definitely that saving money factor there. I think that it's a big thing is that it keeps you marketing, and certainly in the world of small business, people who run small businesses, and I know myself, we're busy. We have so much to do that relates to the actual business and the offering in the first place, that it's quite easy to put things like marketing on the shelf on the side and say I'll get to that later, or maybe never at all, and obviously that's not going to help you. So having a marketing plan really keeps you marketing, because you've got this plan in place, you've got some control over what's happening with it, you're interested to keep checking in and seeing how it's going, and you sort of got that, as I said before, that to-do list, or of actions and activities that you can keep working through, and it just ensures that you're going to keep going with your marketing. And I think the other thing is, you've got something clear to show whoever you might need to show it to. It could just be new employees, it could be somebody new coming into the business, it might be somebody that you're outsourcing some of your marketing to, so somebody who's creating a logo for you or a website, and they're really needing to get a good understanding of what you're doing, what your objectives are, who your audience is, what your messages are. I mean, it's just this beautiful template for them to look at and say, okay, I understand, and I can now create what I need to help you to market your business. So that's a real benefit as well. And I think it's empowering. You feel more in control of your marketing, and it's not this kind of frightening thing that sort of pops into your mind every now and then and makes you feel like, oh, I'm a bit guilty. I haven't really got onto that, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So if only I could get my marketing sorted. Well, if you've got your marketing plan in place, you know what you're up to, and as I said, you've got that empowerment, and you can feel quite confident and in control from there.
Absolutely. And what about like being able then to measure results or KPIs? Would a marketing plan help you be able to do that?
Absolutely. And the key thing there would be to make sure that when you're setting your goals, that they are measurable. So you do have some metrics in there that you are going to be able to, at some point down the line, check back and say, yes, we reached that figure of new customers, or visits to the website, or whatever it might be. So it certainly is a really valuable tool for you to set that benchmark and get on with your marketing, and then come back to and check whether you're actually reaching those targets.
Yeah. And I would guess that it probably could save an organization money too, because instead of doing spaghetti marketing, like throwing everything on the wall,
Yep.
or spending all your time doing social media and then wondering why you're not getting any results, or doing something because Susie's hair salon did it, so I'm going to do it too. By having a marketing plan, you're mapping out what you're going to do, who's going to do it, how much is it going to cost. I would imagine that it gives you a sense of control, right?
Most definitely, and more than just a sense of control, you get that control. You've got something that's in front of you, and you've really thought through it. It's strategic and tailored, and you're keeping an eye on it as well. I always suggest that people don't just set up their marketing plan, say for 12 months, and pop it down and go, well, there's that job done, and I'll just move on to the other things now. It's this living document that's there, and you keep referring to on a regular basis, and you review quite regularly, and you make decisions about whether you might need to tweak or change it, and potentially have a number of marketing plans in place throughout the year for different promotional purposes, or particular sales periods, or events or launches or rebrands or whatever's going on in your business. They're just a fantastic thing to guide what you're doing at that time and help you come back to it regularly and just keep making sure that you're on the right track.
Love it. All right. So now everybody's probably on board. Yep, I need a marketing plan. So here's what happens. They get in front of their computer, marketing plan. Oops, blank screen. What do I do? Where do I start? What do I put into a marketing plan? So where would a small business owner start if they want to put together a marketing plan?
Oh, look, there's so much information out there, and so many templates and so many examples of ready-made marketing plans. But I found myself, and I've found with businesses that I've worked with, that just doesn't cut it. That might be interesting, but it's they're still not quite sure that it's the right thing for them. This is where after years of working with people, I came up with the idea of doing the same thing over and over again, and realizing that they, didn't recognize themselves that they needed to have their own tailored marketing plan, but needed some guidance as to how to build it. That I decided to work with a developer to put something together that guides you through the process. And so that's where Marketing Mate was born, and it's a 10-step process that allows people to come to the web application. It's online with all of their information. They're the subject matter experts for their business. They know all about that. Hopefully they know quite a bit about their customers and what they're trying to achieve, and then step by step, with examples and tips and bits and pieces along the way, they're able to just input that information into the marketing plan wizard, and it slowly builds the marketing plan in the background and almost forces you to be strategic at certain points. You'll be deciding on what tools you might choose, but you'll be forced to say, okay, which particular audience is that going to communicate with, and which goal is that going to help you achieve? So you start thinking, oh, of course, it has to make sense. It has to, have a means to an end, and it just draws you to make sure that you come up with this fantastic strategic marketing plan that's tailored for you and makes sense. And at the end of the day, you've got this document ready to go with all of your steps, actions that you need to start getting on with.
I love it. For so many reasons. You have simplified what a marketing plan is into 10 easy steps. And what you alluded to when you first started talking about it was that, let me just go online and Google a marketing plan template. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to work for your business, right? No. That's like doing what Susie Salon is doing. So I love how you have created Marketing Mate and into 10 easy steps that you walk through, and it asks you questions. I mean, I can speak to its benefit because I'm a user of it. I use Marketing Mate for my own business and for my clients' businesses when I'm creating marketing plans.
Fantastic.
And could you maybe go through what some of those 10 steps are? Like, what are the kinds of things that people need to think about of what they're going to be putting into this marketing plan?
Sure. So, the people who have done any marketing planning before, it's not going to be too unfamiliar. At the end of the day, like I said, I wanted to bring it back and keep it simple, which is great because it's manageable, it's doable. So, of course, you're going to start with your overall objective. What is it that you're trying to achieve with this particular marketing plan? It might not be what you're trying to achieve for your entire business, but you're focusing in on what you're trying to achieve for this plan, and you'll have something in mind. And then setting out some goals. And I like to suggest between 3 and 6 goals. And like I said before, having them measurable, of the particular things that you're wanting to see changed. By the time you implement your marketing plan, you're seeing some results, what targets you're trying to achieve. And, that just really sets the scene, and you keep them in mind the whole way through, obviously, when you're choosing what you're going to do to implement your marketing. And I'm actually just got my little 10-step. You probably can't see it terribly clearly there. Yeah, good. But, and the next step is to look at your considerations. So thinking about anything that's happening in the world around you, within your business, in your life, anything that could have an impact on the marketing that you're planning. It's really important to think about things that might be taking up a lot of the space that your audience might be listening to, or just obviously things that you'll need to consider. You've got something a launch that's upcoming at a particular date, or you're needing to take some personal leave for any particular reason. All of these factors have got to be thought about when you're putting your marketing plan together, because they're going to impact on how things go when you're implementing. Next is obviously, so step number 3 is obviously your audiences. And it's a really fun process actually to sit down and think about who your audience is. And I like to suggest that people give a fictitious name, or it might be a customer that you've got in mind, to actually fully describe who that person is, how they like to receive their information, where they look for their, where they browse for things, where they look for things, how they like to interact, and even their age, their language, all sorts, anything that you can sort of put together to get this really fantastic profile of, the key audience segments that you are trying to communicate with and connect with. And it's just a fabulous way to really get a clear picture in your mind as you're developing your marketing plan of who you're talking to, because that's just going to make that connection for you.
Then, let me stop there for a second, because I love that, because you've made that in a way almost the first step after you've gone through, the basics of, what you want to accomplish, because it is so important to focus on your who before you start getting into, I'm going to do social media. You need to focus on who is your perfect customer. So I love how you make that in the beginning of the marketing plan.
Yeah, I think you can't get stuck with just, looking at your computer screen, or looking at your papers in front of you, or the advertisement you're putting together, or whatever it might be. You've always got to be thinking about the people at the other end, and it will just ensure that you get a much closer connection, and that they're going to respond in a much better way as well, because they're going to feel that connection too. So it's great. And so then after the audience, step 4, moving into your messages, and just getting some really clear messages. And you don't have to be using these word for word in everything that you communicate everywhere on your website, in your advertisements, whatever it might be. But it's just setting the overarching themes and the overarching communications that you're wanting to get through, and you can adapt those as you create your content elsewhere. It's just a really great way for you to, I guess you think about a friend or somebody asking you, what is it that you do, or what are you offering, and when you break it down and you bring it back to those really basic messages that anybody could understand, that's where you want to land, that's where you want to be. So it's a really important step to get those messages nice and clear and have them ready to use and adapt. Step 5 is looking at your content, and I really like to do a content stock take. Some people don't even realize how much they've got at their fingertips. That's really useful. So it could be words that you've put into your business plan. It could be the way that you've described some of your products, and or a certain web page that you've written out really well. There's all this sort of content that you already have. I'm talking photos, I'm talking videos, a logo, any imagery, anything else that you've got that could all be pulled together and used in your marketing ongoing. And it might just be a bit piecey here and there, and you haven't actually brought it together yet, but it's all really, really valuable. So the content stock take's really important. And then step six is where you start to get into, some of the really good stuff, thinking about what tools and channels you're going to use. And you start by looking at the tools and channels you've already got, and then reflecting back on the audiences that you're communicating with and the messages that you're trying to get through, the goals that you're trying to achieve. And that's going to help you to start to decide on some of the tools and channels. And when I talk about tools and channels, I'm talking about, it could be a website, it could be regular emails, it could be an advertisement, all those sorts of things, tools and channels. It's obviously great to have something to reference. So within Marketing Mate, there's a full list of every possible tool and channel I think that we've ever.
I know, I love that part of it.
Yeah, which really helps, and a little bit of a descriptor about how that's useful or how you might think about using that. So that can really help you at that step to decide which ones you might want to bring in. Keeping in mind that you don't want to do too much, keeping it simple. Moving on to step 7, which is you start to look at the people who you've got involved. So doing a stock take of what skills and resources that you've got within your business already, and those you might need to actually buy in or favor in. You've got your cousin who's a great web developer, or your friend who's learning how to do fantastic copywriting, or there's some services you obviously are happy to pay for and that you're needing to pay for, and it's just a spot to really map that out and think about, start thinking about your budget as well. But then obviously that moves into budget, so looking at the costs. So all of the things that you've suggested or decided that you might like to do, you're starting to need to think about what the cost is that's involved in getting those in place. And fantastic if any of them can be favors or, a barter situation where you might provide some services to them and they might be able to reciprocate back to you with no money changing hands. But certainly the budget is very important, and that's going to help you work out as well when you might get to be able to get started to implementing your marketing plan as well. You might need to get some of those funds in place, but it doesn't need to cost the earth, that's true. 9 is obviously getting into the actions then. So we've mapped all of this out. We've worked all of these fantastic things out. Now we're getting down to business. We're setting out anything that we need to do to prepare for the marketing. So that might be writing some more content, organising for some photos to be taken, updating the web page, whatever it might be, all of those things that you've identified you've needed to do, and then getting into actually implementing the marketing tools and tactics that you've come up with as well. So, and finally, step 10, which is very, very important, is working out when you're going to evaluate and review, and you actually look at all of your goals and decide at what point you're going to come in and check back in on them, see how they're going, see if you're reaching your targets or whether you need to actually make some changes. So I hope that just gives a really good overview, a good brief overview, and it's much better when you're in there and filling in the steps one at a time and seeing how it all comes together and sort of educates you and supports you as you go along. So yeah, I hope that's a good overview.
That was a great overview. I love it because it simplifies it into 10 easy steps. I mean, this marketing plan doesn't have to be this completely overwhelming thing. You completely simplified it, but yet it's broken down, and you created an online template that asks you questions and walks you through and makes you think about, you maybe didn't realize that when you stockpile all of your content, you probably have lots of great things. Or by putting it together, you may realize, oh my God, there is so much inconsistency. So we need to focus on this. And I love how when you get into the tactical part of the plan, you've thought of not just online marketing, because everybody seems to want to do that, but you have offline marketing, and it makes you think about how you're going to integrate everything so that it can realistically get done.
That's right. It's covering all bases, and like you say, digital marketing most definitely these days is very popular, and a very high percentage of what people do is in the digital space. But there's definitely room, and particularly with small businesses, for for all of the different below the line, offline, different types of marketing, older traditional types to there's definitely a place still for those as well. So making sure that we can look at all of those too.
Yeah, you've thought of things that people may not have even thought of, like sponsorships and events, all different kinds of online marketing, JV partnerships, affiliates. So it's
right.
very well done.
Yeah,
Okay.
fantastic. Thanks for that, Stacey.
So you take these 10 steps, you've got this plan, and we don't want it to get, shoved away. What do you do? How do you keep it active? How do you use it to grow your business?
Yeah, sure. So it's hopefully because you've been a part of it from the outset, you're excited, you're invested, you want to get going on it. You've got a good understanding of all of the thinking behind it, and so none of it's scary. It's just a matter of going through those actions and knocking them off and starting to see the results. So however, if you don't have time, or if you don't feel as able to do that implementing yourself, you can call on other services to assist you with that. I mean, there's all sorts of other businesses and organizations who are able to assist you. And how fantastic that you've done all of this thinking and put together this strategy to then be able to put in front of somebody and say, I know what I need, I know what I want, I actually just need somebody to help me get it in place or to do it. And that might be a staff member coming on board, or as I say, it might be outsourcing it to somebody else. Or you might be very excited and ready to get into it yourself.
Absolutely. And that's what we do. We create and implement marketing plans for small businesses so they can do what they do best. My motto is do what you do best, outsource the rest.
Yes,
so
I like
whether you're managing an internal team, or you have people all over the country or even the world who may be helping you with your marketing, this plan keeps everybody on track. I love that.
Keeps everybody on track, and it came from you, which is absolutely where it should. I mean, people do work with others to develop their marketing plan, and that's absolutely fine as well, as long as you're involved in the process and it's you that's giving the answers and coming up with what you know to be important to your business and at the heart of it, and all of those sorts of things. And somebody who's working with you who's good at drawing that out will be able to develop a fantastic marketing plan with you as well. So yeah.
Now, Kim, you're somebody who had, a wealth of expertise in marketing. You've helped so many businesses develop and implement their marketing plans. Is there any words of advice or things that, a small business owner needs to be wary of when it comes to either implementing or creating and or implementing their marketing plan?
Yeah, sure. Look, I'll keep it simple again. We keep coming up with that, don't we? But I think the first tip that I would want to share is about keeping it real. So keep it real. People love connection. They like to be able to get a sense of you, a sense of the reason behind the business, a sense of the passion. So if you can, in all that you do, in all that you communicate, and how you connect with people, just keeping it very real and keeping that connection. And I think that just through going through the process of developing your marketing plan and really having those audiences in mind, making sure that you're truly communicating with them, you're going to get that, you're going to achieve that. Other ways that you can do it as well is just tell your story, include some background on your website or, regularly in your Facebook update posts about, where you're coming from and why you're doing this and your passion behind it. And, I think that just has such an impact, and especially coming from small businesses as well. People, really love to still feel connected, even though we're in this world where you can get whatever you want online or wherever, and you don't really need to have that personal exchange. But I think people still really like to get a sense of that. I think the next one is, I just keep coming back to keeping it simple. I think the clearer your messages are, and the clearer your offering is, the better. People don't need to cut through a lot of information and, too many reasons for why they should, buy from you or work with you or whatever it might be. Just being really honest and keeping it simple and keeping it really clear, I think at the end of the day means that somebody's going to stick around. They're not going to get lost or confused and decide to go. They're actually going to go, okay, I get this. I'm connecting with this. Yep, that makes sense to me. Let's go. Everybody doesn't have much time on their hands. So, make it easier for them to actually make a decision about what you're offering. And then thirdly, I think I touched on this before, but around keeping it manageable. So even though there are all these fantastic ideas and ways, and like you said, Susie down the road's doing this, keep your marketing manageable for you, whatever you're able to manage or whatever your staff or your budget in terms of getting resources in from elsewhere to do. Don't overwhelm yourself, because what you'll find is that you will end up dropping the ball because you just won't be able to keep up with it. It'll become too confusing. There'll be too many things to monitor and see if they're working, and you won't quite know if it was this or that or the other. So just really tightening it up and keeping it manageable is just going to help you now and in the long run. So yeah, they're three tips anyway that I can think of for small businesses that hopefully is helpful to your listeners.
Yeah, it's so true, because people think, oh, bigger is better, and I've got to do 80 million things, and that's why they get completely overwhelmed and they wonder why they're not getting results. And with Marketing Mate, you can start with, 1, 2, or 3 simple things, and the plan can grow over time. Just because you have the plan today doesn't mean it can't change in a month, 3 months, 6 months. Is that correct?
That's right. Or you can have your overarching plan generally for your brand and your business, and then create another plan that's more specific to a particular thing that you're wanting to promote or launch or focus on, and and again, just keep it really tight and manageable for that particular thing that you're wanting to achieve. So it doesn't have to be like you said, bigger and better. Bigger is just more overwhelming, and just means that it's going to be harder for you to manage and to actually see some good results.
Great. Well, Kim, your Marketing Mate program is amazing. I'm always preaching the 3 M's: market, message, media, and Marketing Mate really pulls it all together into one cohesive plan. And I know that the listeners and the viewers out there are just clamoring, I need to know more about this. And as I understand, you have a special offer just for my audience. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. When I knew that I'd be speaking with you, I thought, what a fantastic thing to make an offer to whoever's listening. And if they've become inspired and they've decided they're ready to get going and get improving their marketing today, I've got a special offer, which is just you can take, very simple to remember these codes, but if you write them down, take 20, TAKE 20, which will give you 20% off a month to month, your first month of a month to month subscription, or take 50, so TAKE 50, and that's a 50% off offer for an annual subscription to our professional subscription. So www.marketingmate.info is where you'll need to go, and you can have a look at some information and more features there. And just when you go through the sign up, there'll be a spot for you to enter those promo codes. That was take 20 or take 50.
Wow. Thank you, Kim. That is a very generous offer. And I know that the people in my small business community are going to be clamoring to get their marketing plans done. And you provided a great deal for them to be able to do that. Is there anywhere else where people can connect with you or learn more about you?
Oh, well, certainly we have our Facebook site. We're on LinkedIn, and there's obviously just you could send us an email anytime. The team is always happy to hear from people. Any questions or queries, anything that we can help you with if you're just wanting to know a little bit more about the web application before jumping in. And also there is a free trial, so people can go in and have a really good look around if they want to before they actually commit. But all the month-to-month subscriptions and the annual subscriptions are really affordable as well. If you consider what it costs to go to a marketing consultant or, to spend all of those hours trying to work it about yourself. So yeah, I'm more than happy to hear any questions though along the way.
Great. Kim, thanks for being on the show. You
Oh,
have
thanks for
shared
having me.
so much information by breaking down a marketing plan into 10 simple steps, but also providing and sharing how your online tool, Marketing Mate, helps small business owners do that. So
Yeah.
thank you for being on the show and
You're so
sharing your
welcome.
information with everybody today.
Oh, that's fantastic. I've really enjoyed it. It's so lovely, again, to connect with somebody on the other side of the world. And, you know, we love dealing with people from all over the world. You know, we have users from the United States and from Canada, from New Zealand, from the United Kingdom and Australia. And yeah, it's just, it feels wonderful to be part of this global community and to be helping small businesses and not-for-profit organizations and individuals to achieve, you know, what they're wanting to. It's frustrating to think that, you know, people have such a passion behind something and such a wonderful thing to offer, but they can't seem to get it across the line just because of the marketing. So hopefully through Marketing Mate, we're able to help people everywhere to take that step forward and start to get some really great results.
Absolutely. And it just shows you that marketing is the same whether it's on Main Street or internationally around the world.
Yep, because it all comes down to you and, you know, providing an app that just allows for anybody anywhere to input their thoughts and their information and for it to work and be worthwhile. It's just been so exciting to be involved in something like this.
Great.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you again so much for being on the show.
You're
To
welcome.
everyone out there, I hope that you got some valuable information from today's episode. If you like this, then I would really appreciate if you would leave a comment below, a rating, a review, or even share it with your fellow small business owners. Let's all help each other make small business big. Kim, any closing words?
Just a fond farewell to all and happy marketing.
Happy marketing. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. This is Small Business Stacey, your small biz marketing specialist, here to help you get your marketing done by helping you become a small biz marketing whiz. Bye-bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Small Business Stacey, the small biz marketing specialist. Want to grow your business more in the next 30 days than you have in the past 3 months? Get your free marketing plan at smallbizmarketingspecialist.com. That's small, B-I-Z, marketingspecialist.com.